400-mile round trip, Manchester to London. You know, playing in front of 7 people. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if we hadn't actually done that.
But now you could just email Steve Mac.
He might say, it's completely different.
He's a bit of an anomaly because the Mac actually still goes to 4 gigs a night.
Yeah, that's true.
And the rest of them don't really go to gigs. They think you're weird if you go watch bands. So you can stay here, you can move. There's no one piece of advice, no manual how you make it in the band.
The thing is, though, the ball is now completely in your court. You know, you can actually, from here in this room, from a facility like this, create a track, put it up on Facebook, and your life can change from that. Yeah. You know, it's completely different.
Well, actually, there's one little myth there about the internet. You can't put it up and something's going to happen. You have to hustle it.
Oh, yeah,
you have to say, anybody who likes your kind of music, you have to become a media savvy as well. So what journalists, what promoters, what bands are into your kind of stuff, which ones are approachable, then you can just go and approach them. So you don't just put the stuff up there, I'm sure everyone knows this, but you don't just step a MySpace page and think you're going to get 1 million people on there. For a start, MySpace is pretty dead now. And there's only like Bandcamp is probably better and all the other kind of ways to put your music up there. But you have to hustle it, you have to push it, you have to be a hustler in the band, don't you?
Yeah,
so you actually became a hustler, not a musician, didn't you?
Well, no, eventually, I moved into that, You're right, there's usually one in every band, and that person's got to be...
It's got to be done. I spent like years standing in call boxes and days before mobile phones. How easy is it now? Standing in the prom at Blackpool in this call box. But my mate used to work at GC in Preston, he used to make washers there, it was the same size as 10p pieces. And we spent 2 years putting them into call boxes and never spending any money. That was our lucky break. We used to ring everybody up. I get a number of someone, you ring them up. You get John Peel's number, you rang him up. Because I thought, I don't want to be stuck in Blackpool doing nothing, because I want to make the music. The rest of the band would never do that, but I was the one who had to be pushing and do it. So that's what you've got to do, because if you don't hustle, you don't get anywhere. No one's going to come and find you. Music's not a charity, is it? There's 10,000 bands in this country, and most of them are pretty good. So why should your band make it over all the others? Because you pushed it, didn't you? Kurt Cobain, you ever seen those Kurt Cobain diaries? There's a list of things to do in there, isn't there? You think his image is like, oh, he's a half-crazy genius writing brilliant songs, but no, he's going, 1, get in touch with so-and-so, 2, get in touch with that person.
Katie's got a question.
I've been gigging for about 4 years now, and it's kind of got to a point where I'm like, I can't keep track of my own time, and I'm like doing too much, and I don't know how to get like other people to help me with that, like a manager or a promoter or anything, and it's like starting to get to a point where I'm making lists and doing stuff like that. So
what do you mean, how to find a manager? It's no simple way. I can't imagine there's many great sort of well-connected managers in town, because they'll all be in Manchester or London now, won't they? You know, well, apart from him probably. But not a lot, you know, because the music business is in the big cities, isn't it? Not the little towns. You're doing the right thing for doing it yourself, and I think the best bands, even when they get big, manage their managers. I've seen so many bands who get big and they have a terrible manager who completely fucks the whole thing up. I mean, Stone Roses, what a great example. The manager was complete chaos, you know, and that's what messed the band up eventually. So you always have to be in control of your own situation. But what you need is almost like a PA in a way. Someone does all the boring stuff, but you may never get on something like that.
Are you doing many gigs out of town, Kate?
Yeah, as much as I can. I've started to like move out a bit more recently.
Yeah.
What about?
Well, playing in Carlisle, doing this has got me a bit further out.
Where are you from?
Right.
I'm from Lancaster, but I'm based like here. I started off at Morecambe.
And have you done any gigs in Manchester?
I've supported in Manchester, but I've not done like one.
Well, supporting still, you know, it's still
supporting's probably better.
It's still the way. You're not going to go and headline your own gigs straight off in somewhere like Manchester, are you?
There's no point. No one will go.
I mean, what I would say was, if you're sort of trying to make best use of your time, I'd be quite cutting and say, well, why are you doing a show in Carlisle? Not to diss Carlisle, but it'd be like, why are you spending your time doing that? Unless it's just for the experience. Or if you're spending money to go and do a show up there as well, I would say, well, no, you need to go and play in Manchester more and put your time and your effort and your money into that, because it's just a higher density of people that could possibly change your situation.
Playing a gig in Carlisle will serve a purpose, as in it'll be great. It's a great experience because it's a gig.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and you need all the gig experience you can get.
But you're talking about further.
But yeah, Manchester is
it's actually a very good music town, you know.
Carlisle.
Oh yeah.
You get a good crowd there.
Yeah.
You can make money. So I think you're right. Yeah, go play the place where the people see you to help you get connected. But But I'd also say play all the little towns around it, because it makes your music better, because you're gigging. And if you build a following, you'll make some money. So the gigs where you lose the money playing to 4 people in London, you made your £100 in Carlisle, so you know it's shifting those tiny bits of money around, isn't it?
Each gig has a different purpose.
And if you go to, and then eventually go to Manchester, you've got like a following up in this end of the country. At least you've got a following. You know, at least people think there's something going on. And people know what's going on as well. You know, that people say, we had this girl playing in the night, and there's 200 people in there in Carlisle. And somehow that'll filter through, you know, or you can make sure it filters through as well by filming a gig that way round, so people can see the crowd packed in the room, and then use that as your video on your YouTube clip. I don't know, I'm not saying that's happening yet, but if it does happen, you know, if you're big in this town, like if you play a gig in this town and you've got like 100 mates at the gig and they're all jumping up and down, I'll make sure that appears on the YouTube clip as well, because it looks good, that kind of stuff, doesn't it, you know? And that can help as well, because I think, well, if you could get a following in your hometown, maybe get a following next town along as well, and it presents the band or a piece of music in a good way, people appreciating it.
I mean, I'd also say as well, going back to that, making the best use of your time. You know, if you've got a choice of, I mean, gig is great for experience and that's good, but the one thing that's going to really change your career is if you write a really, really great song. You know, so I would say, I mean, how old are you? 17. Well, you're still very, very young, so I would say to you, just keep writing. You know, work on that side of it, and you know, you can bet your last pound that, you know, if you write that killer song, Rachel will know about it. People that Rachel knows will know about it. These people here will know about it. People beyond us will know, and it just things just go from there, you know. And it's just then you need stuff to back that up. But there's, you know, one song or that one thing can completely change what you're doing.
Well, discipline's everything. In fact, it's interesting because I was just chatting to your mum, Karima, and she said you write one song a day. And I quite like the idea of that, just sitting down to write, to make something happen, isn't it? You know?
It's not always great, but like actually really a load of shite.
You don't know, do you? You know, you write
the bad ones can be good ones, because you pick them apart again, don't you?
Yeah. I'm more like connected with my words, you know, and there's things I need to get out of my head. But, you know, like have you got me on Facebook? Yeah, I can send you a couple of promoters in Manchester that will probably get you on. Just small gigs. I could probably set you up a few over a couple of weeks. I did actually, I'm doing like a little secret show in Glossop, but I just asked someone to play with me, and I could ask if there's another option to do it on Sunday.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah. That's how it works.
No, I get off on helping people. Like, the other day I was in Blackpool, I walked into Stanley Park Cafe. I went to see Rachel, but I'd missed her. But there was a band on called the Deadbeats. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
They're like a function band, but the lead singer has got something. He was singing other people's songs, but I know that he's got something that I want to see when I go and see someone that I don't see in a lot of. Like, I see a lot of good music nowadays, but I don't see like iconic people anymore, like that are like legendary. Like that's what I'm missing out of the music. That's what I miss out of today's music. I don't see a lot of that.
I agree with you there.
No, I think it's still there. I think.
Do you?
Yeah. If you're older, the band's younger. You know, that's just the way it is. You're not going to look up. You're not going to look up to someone who's younger. It's just.
That's the way the world.
Yeah. I mean, people said that years ago. People said that in the punk days. I mean, people said these bands are like the bands in the 60s.
No.
And now those bands become iconic for the next generation.
Yeah.
When the Roses and Mondays came out, we said they're not as good as the punk bands.
Yeah.
It's a cycle, endless cycle. Time makes things much more legendary. Anyway, that's going off the topic.
Yeah.
So it's about, see, this how it works, getting connected, isn't it? And it's not about just meeting people with these things. Maybe if there's music that you do, and there's people do the same kind of music, just email them or Facebook them and find them. They're not all going to reply, but maybe one does. See, there's one connection here. It proves it does kind of work. Then maybe somebody else will help as well. And maybe if you get to know Karima, maybe there's other people you could put on as well, and the cycle continues. Then when you get somewhere, you hand that on to other people as well. I mean, I'm all for musicians working together, even if you're all completely different styles. I think small towns, it's really important, because I hate it when you go to a small town, you get a message board and everyone's bitching about everyone else. I just think, what a waste of time that is, isn't it? Because you're only bitching over a pub gig with 20 people going to.
That's what.
Why not work together?
And I battle the bands.
You can't
Being in a band is not a battle. You know, it's not being better than anyone else. It's just having a great time, having a great laugh, and.
So what if the band that supported you for 5 years ends up selling 1 million records? What's the problem?
It happens, you know.
Yeah. Tap them up for support.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, one thing I'd like to say as well, I mean, particularly particularly me, we're all talking about this in a way as, you know, you've got to be successful and further in your career. Listen, music's not always about that.